Handle him. Dennis Shiver Jr. Hey, good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing all right.
What do we have? We have a motion, proposed order to modify probation.
Yes, sir.
What do you, raise your right hand to be sworn?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Shiver, it looks like you want to have peaceful contact with your wife to attend marriage counseling. Is that the issue?
No, sir. Well, yes, sir. That was the case. I believe it was a month, 60 days ago, somewhere around there. I actually went to the marriage counseling. I believe it was April 27th, I believe. And you told me that if I brought back the schedule for the next following up marriage counseling, that you would grant the motion for peaceful contact. There was only one issue with this.
What's that?
I've got the schedule, April 27th, May 4th, and May 16th. Okay, so that's the schedule for the next marriage counseling, but she did not RSVP. She did not fill out the conditions of the marriage counseling, so therefore she didn't show up.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing.
Yes, sir.
So I've done my part, but what I was going to ask, just the courts. I know she didn't show up for the marriage counseling. That's the marriage situation, but I do have children that's in sports. I've got a 6-year-old daughter that's in T-ball. I've got a daughter that runs track. The stipulations of a no contact, that's 500 yards away from her. The football field's 100 yards.
So, are you all going through a divorce?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely filing a divorce.
Well,
if she didn't want to do marriage counseling, then.
Well, I'm not suggesting that you file for divorce. You were talking about time shared and custody issues. So I was asking if you all had a pending divorce. I'm not suggesting that you file for divorce.
No, it's not filed. There's nothing filed in the case yet. It's just, me asking the courts to modify the terms of the probation to limited contact for sports, just for the children. I want to be a part of my kids' life.
Well, contact order is not with the children, it's with your wife, right?
Right. But if the wife takes the kids to the sport events, then, the width of a football field is 100 yards. And their stipulations are 500. So, I can't even be at the same ball field as they are.
What stipulations are 500?
I believe the no contact is supposed to be like 500 yards away or 500 foot or something.
Is there a domestic violence injunction?
I have no idea.
There is a domestic violence injunction? Okay. But that's domestic violence. In the criminal case, you simply have a no contact order.
Right.
That doesn't prevent you from going to your children's extracurricular activities or sporting events. In the domestic violence case, you do. Does he have an injunction, Ms. Christina? It was dissolved. You can go to the game. I'm not going to, unless I hear from your wife. Are you? She's here? She looked familiar. That's why I looked over. You want to be heard, ma'am, or you want the state to speak for you?
I know from her contact with our office that she no longer wishes to attend marriage counseling or have any contact with the defendant whatsoever.
Right. So I'll deny your request to have contact with your wife.
But I can go to the games and be part of, my children's life.
There's a no contact order you can't have any contact with your wife.
Right. So
if you go to a football field and your wife is in the bleachers on one side, it's probably best that you go to the other side and watch the game.
What is the actual footage? Because,
the actual footage of what?
The no contact.
There is no actual footage in the criminal case. It simply says no contact with the victim directly or indirectly. You can't call her, can't send messages. You can't send messages to a third party.
Right.
If you see her at a football game and she has the children, don't walk up to her and talk to her. You see her at the grocery store, leave.
Right.
But you can attend your children's extracurricular activities. Sit on the other side of the field.
Cool. All right.
If the children are with your wife, probably not a good idea to go and talk to your children with the wife. If your son just scored a touchdown and you want to run down to the end zone and jump up and down with your son, that's perfectly fine. But you can't have any contact with your wife.
I'm good with that.
All right. So I'll deny your request for peaceful or contact with your wife. Okay.
Okay.
I said best of luck to you and your wife and the children.
I wasn't appointed representative no more, but it can tell you what she's got going on and what a request is.
Yeah, you gotta love that. Him wearing shorts in court. It looked like he was wearing. If I can back it up a little bit, looks like he was wearing. It looks like he. Heck, from here it looks like he's barefooted, but it Looks like he's just wearing little sandals or something for shoes. The mess. This next lady's fun, so check her out.
I mean, I wasn't point of representative no more, but she can tell you what she's got going on and what a request is.
Are you doing good? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, well, I wanted a modification.
Have you filed a motion now?
I don't know. I just called the public defender's office and went and talked to my probation officer before.
Probation officer, what are you trying to modify?
I just wanted to modify with the bracelet and the 7-7 curfew, but not the weekly drug testing. I've just got some medical issues going on. I just drove back from Tallahassee night before last. I've been diagnosed with a renal mass on my left kidney, and minus that, sir, I have been on top of everything. Today I am 241 days clean, 45 pounds later. My life, I've been able to graduate from bad living. I've moved my granddaughter to Panama City and put her in a new school. We have a new house to live in. It's wonderful. I make my weekly visits to my probation officer faithfully. I pass every drug test. I feel better. My life is a lot better, but I went to see a doctor because of my weight gain. And because I've gained a lot of weight. That's right. I'm not using methadone or nothing else for that matter. As a matter of fact, when I went to the doctor, I went to see him about my weight. And he said, I can't give you the medicine because I had to check your thyroids. Well, that's how he found the mass on my kidney. If I hadn't went for the diet medicine, I would have never been diagnosed with the cancer. So it was a blessing that I did go, but he did give me the medicine, and I took 2 days of it and poured the rest of it in the toilet because it gave me the same effect as doing meth. The medicine.
The medicine for the cancer?
No, the medicine for diet loss, for weight loss.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got rid of it. Matter of fact, I had surgery day before yesterday. They went in and culturized it through my back, and I go in 5 more days back to Tallahassee.
Hey, Critter, I'm not too fast on typing tonight. This judge is in Port St. Joe, Florida. Port St. Joe is a little bit east of Panama City, so it's in the same court district as Judge Van and Judge Clark.
You have it. The only people I could find that would take me for my Medicaid was in Tallahassee, so I'm having to do a lot of traveling. But they put me on oxycodone for this, and I have proudly to say I have not took one of them. I've been taking Tylenol over the counter since I got home from. I've been a little pukey from what they gave me when I had surgery, but I haven't even taken one of those. So, but I went in and talked to my probation officer. He gave me open. Whatever you call it, with my ankle bracelet because I had to travel to Tallahassee, and it was a 6 o'clock in the morning appointment to start. And then I told him I wanted to be in here in court, for today. So he had me open till 7 o'clock tonight. And
What's the issue with the community control?
I'm not on community control. I'm on 7-7 curfew and just monitoring.
What's there to do after 7 p.m. at night?
Well,
before
not
7
really
a.m. in the morning?
anything. I mean, we have meetings. I've been going with my friend to meetings in Panama since we moved over because we don't know anybody there. I put my granddaughter to Southport School, so we're learning the area. But it just seems like by the time she gets in and we get a break or we have anything, it just runs right into the time frame of having to be back to the house, if it's whether it's meetings, whether it's just taking her to the swimming hole up the road, and then all these doctor's appointments is just insanity. I'm telling you, and I can't find the only doctor that I have that is local that I can see is my primary doctor, but I have a urologist and a radiologist now, and that's all in Tallahassee. But I don't have any problem with the weekly drug test, and I'll continue to go every Friday and take the drug test faithfully. I have no problem with that whatsoever, finally. As a matter of fact, when I moved to Panama, I went over and seen, well, Miss Hadley was my probation officer in Weewall. So when I moved, she had to transfer me to another probation officer in Panama. And I was doing well here and I was nervous about it because everything is always different. But I got up, when I went to meet my new probation officer, he wasn't in the office that day. So then 5 days passed and I still hadn't heard from him. And I was getting nervous because following Friday was when I normally would report and give my drug test, you know. So I went down I got my friend to take me down to the probation office and I went in there and I told the lady, I said, look, I've been calling him every day and he ain't answered, you know, and I want to see him and I need a drug test and I need one today. She said, we've had a lot of people come here and tell us a lot of things and never come in and demand a drug test. Oh, but anyways, like I said, I'm not trying to evade. I'm not asking for less probation. I'm not asking to be taken off of drug testing. I'll do it every Friday faithfully. I'm just asking to be able to move around a little bit and not have this. When I went to my doctor's appointment, this box went off even though he okayed it. Every time I went to a different county line, the box went off. My granddaughter took my purse with her back to the motel because my friend and we rented a room because we had to be there so early in the morning. She took my purse to have my box in it. They had already had ID in my arm and everything. And the probation office called and said, well, you have to have that box. So I had to get on my phone and call and have them come back from the motel to bring that box and put it in my bed with me in the back of the surgery room. It was just a little bit crazy, but
Okay.
I mean, even though I was approved, I still had to have the box close to my body, you know, so.
Mr. Patterson?
If I remember right, we were just here a month or two ago on a violation in this case, and it wasn't the first violation in this case. Glad to hear that Ms. Simmons is doing better outside of her health situation. But I haven't heard anything that seems to be something that can't be handled simply by keeping the box with you or communicating with the probation officer. And I would just ask the court deny the motion at this time. Again, we were just here a month or two ago for a violation.
I think it's a little longer than that.
Yeah, it looks like it was.
You pled straight up to the court.
Oh, I believe.
Yes, sir. I had went to the
There's a-
visitation down here, remember, and I had to bring my,
And the box went off, and it was,
Yeah.
you're out of pocket for 40 minutes. Mr. Hill made a convincing argument, but that wasn't your first violation either.
no, my
Listen.
first violation is when you gave me, listen, I never expected that first day. I really didn't. When you sent me home, I did not expect it. And I'm not giving you all the glory for where
don't
I'm
give me-
at today,
don't
but
give
I
me
am handing you the credit where you gave me an opportunity, an open door, and I have my granddaughter. I do have her.
Well,
And,
don't give the credit to Mr. Hill, because I was agreeing with Mr. Patterson, and
Well, I
I wanted to
understand
send you to prison. But Mr.
Well, I didn't deserve that.
Oh, you,
Come on now.
well, when you're on community control and
I
I
wasn't
tell
on
you,
community control.
you have an ankle monitor. That's
I
what
know,
community,
but it's just,
that's community control. That's what that is. When you're on community control and you're out of pocket for 40 minutes and that wasn't your first violation. I honestly, I agree with the state, but you made a convincing argument. Mr. Hill made a convincing argument, and I believed in you. You doing well, and I want to congratulate you on that.
thank you.
But as far as the ankle monitor, I'm going to deny that request. If there's anything with your medical condition, your appointments, your doctors, and you're in surgery and your box goes off, I promise you probation are empathetic. Mr. Patterson is, and I can certainly tell you, I'm not going to violate you if you're sitting in the hospital and your box goes off. All right. Now, if you're in Tallahassee,
So when can I come back and Grant asked this? Because listen, I can't even get my feet to put my socks on. It's just you know what I mean? I mean, when can
I
and
can't.
am I ordered to wear this for 5 years? I mean, I'm on 5 years of probation.
I understand the maximum is 2 years. Whatever you agree to,
There never was a time set at all when I came to court initially and was put on it.
there's certainly a time set. The
Uh-huh.
law requires that community control cannot be more than 2 years. So I set a time. Madam Probation, how long is she on community control?
I don't think I was ever put on community control.
You have an ankle monitor.
I know, but I
That's
don't
what
do
this-
the weekly reports. All I do is curfew.
Okay.
Is that the same thing? Because I don't have to give a report every day for,
I
that's why I thought there was a difference.
So yes, two different versions of community control.
Okay.
She's actually not on community control
Why does she have the ankle monitor?
I don't know. That's what my probation officer asked me. They
Ma'am,
asked me.
one moment, Madam Probation.
At some point, she was ordered to be on the ankle monitor in court. We wouldn't just put her on it unless.
If the only time I'm gonna order someone to be on an ankle monitor is if I order community control. I've done it before when someone has violated probation. I've given them a bond and basically said you're gonna be on the ankle monitor while you're out on bond. But
I'm not out of money.
we don't do that here in Gulf County. I do that in Bay County. We don't have that here in Gulf. But if there's no reason, I ordered for her to be on a community control ankle monitor. Was it a condition of bond? I'm looking at it says 5 days in Gulf County Jail with credit for 5 days. You have to complete 25 hours of community service. I told you to attend 10 Narcotics Anonymous meeting classes. You have an additional $250 violation of probation fee, and all prior conditions were reimposed. The prior condition was back in September of 2024. Your supervision was extended to the full 5 years. You were successfully enter and complete care. You had the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew, weekly UAs, pay $1 per day for the cost of electronic monitoring.
Yes, sir.
But you're not on community control.
No, sir.
I'm gonna strike that.
What does that mean?
You don't need to be on an ankle monitor. If you're not on community control, you're still gonna have a curfew.
That's fine.
All right?
I'll work with it.
Okay. Best of luck to you, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so this lady was a perfect example of do the right thing, ask the right questions, and you can work yourself out of that trouble. So, all right, so it looks like Judge Simpson overwhelmingly won that one. So we're going to go to that one. It's kind of a long one. I'm gonna throw up a Judge Perkins one first, real quick. Then we'll go to Judge Simpson. So let's go, Judge Perkins.
I am here regarding testing on Zachary Ganesh.
Okay, we're waiting on his lawyer to, he's in Oakland County, so he's probably got a hearing or something.
Okay. Did you want me to wait, or do you want to just call me, or would you like me to send you a email report?
What's going on with him?
Well, he was ordered to test once per week, back in March, I believe it was. Where did I put my notes? I'm sorry. And from March 27th to April 23rd, he was testing positive, for THC and cocaine. On April 16th, he tested positive for THC, cocaine, and opiates. Since April 26th, he's only been testing positive for THC. He did enter Sacred Heart for a couple of days. I actually thought he was still going to be there today, but it looks like he signed himself out a couple of days after he went in.
So, Mr. Ganesh.
Yes, sir.
No, we are. You told me you were doing better.
I am doing better, sir. The reason why I left the treatment center is they gave me some medicine that made me dizzy. But when I got out, I went and continued on testing, and I attend my Alcoholics Anonymous meetings.
That doesn't sound
And I
too
have
good.
a medical card that I can that I'm gonna have to rename.
I got a medical card, so I can smoke weed.
Your Honor,
That doesn't sound too good to me.
Your Honor, I think I mentioned it, but just since April 26th, he's only tested positive for THC. There's been no cocaine or opiates or alcohol in his system since April 26th.
All right, that's after we talk, right?
That I'm not sure of, Your Honor, when his last date. Yeah, his last. Yes.
All right. Well, I don't like the fact that he checked himself out the center.
Understood.
That was the whole. How long did you stay there?
3 days.
3 days. And how long were you supposed to be there?
The detox is 3 to 14 days. It's either
Yeah.
detox or residential.
Yeah, and you were supposed to be there the whole 14 days, right?
Yeah, they did. You can do detox. It's either detox and residential. But I had my lawns that I have a bunch of clients that I can't afford to
We're
leave.
not even talking about that, sir. I just don't believe you're really ready. I- I'm glad
I'm
that you
very
haven't.
serious. I haven't. I've been. The only thing I do is smoke weed to help me sleep and for my anxiety at night. I don't smoke it during the day.
We're gonna wait on your attorney.
Okay.
Morning, Judge. May I please court Vassal Johnson, second P72130 on behalf of Mr. Ganesh, President Zone.
All right, Mr. Ganesh, good morning to you. Put your name on the record, please.
Yes, sir. Zachary Paul Ganesh.
All right. Ms. Lurst, can you put your appearance on the record, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Dawn Lurst on behalf of probation.
All right. We were talking off the record about his, I didn't know that you weren't here, Mr. Johnson, but I was talking to probation about, he indicates to the court that he went to the treatment center and he checked himself out after 3 days because of some medication that he gave him, made him sick or something like that. I don't buy that. I will say this, I am happy to hear that he hasn't indulged in those other, more serious drugs that he's had in the system, the first time. So I'm giving you a little credit for that. I'm giving you a lot of credit for that. I'll give you a lot of credit for that. But I don't buy you check yourself out. Because then subsequently he says that he needs to get his business going back on and he needs to start making some money. I think that's the real reason. And I was under the impression that he was going to be there the whole two weeks. But Ms. Lurst indicated to the court that he hasn't tested positive for those opioids and for any alcohol. I'm not so concerned about the marijuana. But what do you want to do with it? What does your client want to do with the cases, Mr. Johnson?
Did talk to Ms. Snyder, and he wanted to avail himself of that recommendation. It was the OWVI in exchange for dismissal of the other count, narcotic count.
You want to take the deal, sir?
Yes, sir.
Can you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, sir.
Or affirm, tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Now you can put your hand down. Where is your mom now?
She's right here. Hold on. There she comes.
Always.
Hello, Your Honor. Can you
Good
see?
morning. Yeah, I can. Can you put your name on the record, please?
Michelle Ganish.
All right. You heard the conversation I had with your son, right?
I have.
And I don't know how you feel about it. How do you feel about it?
Well, I am actually relieved in a way that this situation came up because I was unaware of this situation of this drug that was going on.
All right. Sorry for the pause there. I had to get everything set up. So, Allie, this is not the judge. Sorry. It is not the judge. Wrong judge. Wrong judge. That was Judge King. This is Judge Perkins. But it's all the same, I guess.
I was ignorant of it. And so I am so glad to know the truth now. Oh, someone's trying to call. How do you get it?
Just hit the exit.
I don't do that because we get knocked out.
Oh.
They'll just stop calling. Maybe. So he's doing really well. He lives with me. He doesn't own a vehicle, and he hasn't driven since that incident because I'm not allowing him to drive because I'm mad. And
So when you say you were ignorant to, the whole
the
drug behavior,
cocaine, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about
can
the
you see,
cocaine.
well, cocaine and opioids too?
Well, I didn't know about either one of those things going on.
But
I did not.
when you say that, now you reflect back, do you see that? Do you
Oh,
see?
oh yes. I'm going to tell you. I saw it was a big situation that I was trying to get a handle on. There's a boy next door that lives with his mother. He's not a boy. He's a 25-year-old man, I guess. But his mother claims he has autism and all this stuff. And there was some nutty things going on. And what's going on with the phone?
That's where it starts.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
So,
For the
and
kid.
now, have you seen in the last few weeks a change in his behavior?
Absolutely. I am I am so pleased and vigilant and aware. And I already there's no way that it's going back down this road. Not in my
Mr. Johnson, why aren't we sending him to drug court? Didn't we say we were going to send him over there?
Can I answer that?
No, I'm not. I'm talking to, well, why aren't we sending him to drug court?
Because we proposed the Sacred Heart alternative, and that's when
Yeah, and that didn't work. You're going to drug court, sir.
Your Honor, he did drug court in 2013 and failed in Wayne County.
And not with our drug treatment court, he did.
Yeah, well, it was the circuit court.
Yeah. And that didn't work.
And that was a long time ago, and he was doing really well until this situation that came up right before this accident. We weren't having any problems.
Here's the deal. You want your son to get better, right?
He is better. He's back on track.
Yeah, he's getting better. This is going to be a lifelong. Do you understand? This is going to be a lifelong situation that he's going to be dealing with this. You understand that?
That's why he goes to meetings, and that's why he's part of the AA group, and he has been in the past for years. So he has a community that he does work with. And
so he's been to drug court, so you had to have known that there's some issues with some drugs in his life. You said he's been to drug court in 2013?
You're right. I did know, but he had been doing really well since that until recently.
So you told me you were ignorant to all of this. Do you understand that he's an addict?
I do understand that.
And the fact that he's an addict, it's going to be a lifelong of recovery.
And that's why he goes to meetings, and my brother-in-law has been in the program for 35 years, picks him up and takes him.
And it was not working because he's had all kind of drugs in the system the last time he came here. Let's get drug treatment court on the line. Let's get him to talk to somebody over there. Did you already talk to somebody, Mr. Ganesh?
Yes, I did, sir. I've talked.
Yes, we talked last time, Your Honor. Miss Warfield came and spoke.
He's going over to drug treatment court. That's the best I can do for him.
Your Honor, can't monitor him on probation? Give him a chance?
I don't know, because you know something, they have all the resources over there for him to be successful as he can. You know, what alarms me is that I thought he was going to be in that treatment program for 2 weeks. You're coming out telling me now you only spent 3 days in the treatment program. To me, that just sends off red flags everywhere. Period.
I wanted to detox, sir. I didn't want to do that.
I mean, it's not about what you want to do. You want to stay clean, I hope.
Of course, that's what I've been doing.
I thought you were going in that program for 2 weeks. That's what we understood. That's why I didn't send you to drug treatment court over there. I'm not the best at monitoring whether somebody's going to complete this probation or not, because it's only going to be, if you mess up again, you're going to jail. Over there, they have so many resources. We have the best drug treatment court in the country. They have so many resources that if you do relapse, then you can be upfront and transparent with them, and they can get you the help that you need.
Please don't do that to me, Judge. I know I can't.
No,
I haven't completed
you're
it.
going. All right. And I don't know why you're not accepting of that. You're acting like I'm doing something that's hurting me.
I've done it before, sir. I had 0 to 3 month guidelines, and I did 3 years in and out of Salvation Army, in and out of jail. It was terrible. I mean,
because you weren't doing what you were supposed to do. If you stay away from the drugs,
and then I went to
Mr.
jail for a
Gaines,
year for 3 month guidelines. I did so much time for something, you know.
Why?
I couldn't. Back then it was really bad. Back when I was younger.
Okay.
But I'm not.
And you've gone back down that road again.
Yeah, but just recently.
Your mom tells me that you go to AA, you go to NA, you go to all these things, but you come in and you have every drug in your system when you came in here last time.
I know I was still on, working on getting myself clean.
So we're going to help you. Let's pass the matter, all right? All right, let's go back on the record with Mr. Ganesh. Mr. Ganesh, I've given you an opportunity to speak to counsel.
Yes, sir.
I heard your comment before you left, and it's just not up to you at this point.
I've done the drug court before, so I'm doing good now. Like I said, I attend meetings.
We're going to try to do the best we can to make it stay that way. And if you go over there with Judge Holmes, so I'm telling you, she's very, very, very good at what she does. She's not the type that's going to just all she wants to do is transparency and the commitment.
I can't though, sir. I've done it before. Like I said, I did like 3 years for a 3 month guidelines, and it was just very stressful.
Your Honor, if I may.
And then I did a year in jail.
So I did speak with Mr. Ganesh this morning and previously, Your Honor. The main concern that he had was based off of his previous experience with the drug court. I did try to explain to him that, our system is different and that we're a mentor court for the country. So we have to have our things together and it would be a less chaotic experience. Mr. Ganesh is adamant that he does not want to do it. And at this point, Your Honor, by statute, the program is still technically voluntary. I did tell Mr. Ganesh that, I've seen judges offer treatment or jail and that Your Honor would have the right to do that if he does not want to voluntarily come into the program. So I did let him know of his rights. He is adamant at this time, Your Honor, that he does not want to do it as he expressed the first conversation that we had. Again, it is here for him. He is eligible. I do remember our conversation from previously. So he is eligible for our program, but Your Honor, he is not willing to participate at this time.
Okay. So the statute precludes me from sending him to drug court if he's not willing to do it. Is that correct?
So statute mandates that the program is voluntary and it cannot be forced upon an individual. However, if an individual is given a choice between, the program and let's say a jail sentence, the statute does allow a court to make that type of determination, guided choice. Let me say that.
All right. Well, we won't make him go. All right. I already swore your client in, Mr. Thank you, Ms. Warfield.
No problem, Your Honor. Have a great day. Always a pleasure.
All right. I'm bound by the statute. Did I swear your client in, Mr. Johnson?
I'm not sure.
Raise your right hand, Mr. Ganesh.
Yes, sir.
Swear or affirm to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
You put your hand down. You stand the maximum possible penalty for this offense is 93 days in jail and or $500 in fines. You understand that, sir? I don't need you to talk to your mother about it.
What do you? I didn't hear you, sir. You said
Do you understand? Did you read him his advice of rights, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that the maximum possible penalty for this offense is 93 days in jail and or $500 in fines?
yes, sir.
Do you understand that you have an absolute right to a trial?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson went over your other advice of rights in the breakout room or some point during the pendency of this case, did he not?
Yes, sir.
You understood those rights?
Yes, sir.
Let me draw your attention back to January 8th, 2025 at around 6:01 p.m. in the city of Detroit. Operating a motor vehicle, sir.
Yes, I was.
Controlled substance in your system at the time of the operation of that motor vehicle.
Correct.
What did you have?
I had cocaine, opiates, and oh no, it was just cocaine and opiates. That was it.
And did those controlled substances, did you have a legal right to those to use
I
those?
did not. I did not.
And did those controlled substances affect your ability to operate the motor vehicle?
No, I happened to take my eyes off the wheel to grab my phone. Well, I was looking for my phone, and then that's how I hit the parked car.
And it had nothing to do with the opioids.
No, it's honestly, if
nothing
I didn't
at all.
No,
you see where your client is going. I
already, yes, I saw.
It has nothing to do.
I know I was in the wrong.
And
completely.
opioids in your system.
No, I admit that what happened.
I hope your mom is still listening to this.
She's listening. She's listening. Yeah, I was in the wrong. I admit that I was operating.
You still can't admit it.
Judge, can I go in the breakout room with him?
Yep. Yep. Go back in the breakout room.
Is it 5? Is that it?
Look at this picture when he was a young man. Yeah, go back in 5.
Okay.
Still a young man. Now let's go back on the record with Mr. Ganesh. We were back. I asked your client that the opioids, it says fentanyl, cocaine, there's a word benzoglycone. There's another substance that he had in his system. And he says that didn't have anything to do with him crashing his car.
No,
he would like to change his answer, Judge.
It did, sir. No, it
he was
did.
just looking down at it. He was just looking down at his phone. That's what he tells me, and that's why he crashed his car.
Well, it was because I was under the influence. I take responsibility. Yeah, I was impaired.
You're after you spoke with the lawyer. All right. Will you stipulate to the forensic laboratory report on your client's behalf, counselor?
I do.
All right. With that stipulation, I'm going to find him guilty of the amended count of operating while visibly impaired. Sentencing is going to be June the 13th. All other bond conditions are going to remain the same at 10 a.m. I'm going to order him to do a pre-sentence investigation report. I'm going to refer him back to probation for that. I'm going to order a substance abuse evaluation. And I'm going to wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Now we're in, you don't have to worry about going to our treatment court. But if you come with some systems and no marijuana, we're gonna get all these drugs out of you. No marijuana.
Yes, sir.
No marijuana. So put that, make sure that gets in that order as well, along with all the other conditions.
Thank you,
All
Judge.
right, so June 13th, 2025 at 10 a.m.
Yes.
I truly wish you the best of luck, sir, and have a very good rest of your day, and tell your mom I said bye.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Well, I know mom was being supportive, but she kind of came off to me as an enabler. The guy's doing good, trying to run his own business, cutting grass, but he's got to figure out, he's got to get off that weed. Got to get off that weed. It's not helping him any. All right, let's go to Judge Simpson today. So about it seems like about 6 months ago there was a case where a female was saying that her employer was, I think, is harassing her sexually, like sexual harassment or something. And it I couldn't find the video earlier, but this is a violation hearing, and it's a little long, but it's worth it. Judge Simpson listens to it and certainly doesn't just take anyone's word for anything. So, all right, y'all enjoy it. And like I said, it's a little long, but it's worth it. Lena said she didn't want to go to sleep tonight anyway, so.
Case of the People versus Jason Stevens.
First Assistant Public Defender Clint Anderson, with and on behalf of Mr. Stevens, Your Honor, submitted a form he's requesting to have the Public Defender's Office appointed.
Okay, your name, sir?
Jason Stevens.
All right, is that correct, sir? You're wishing?
Yes.
All right. All right, this is a public defender case. I have, yes, Ms. Valerica.
Your Honor, I was just going to state for the record that Mr. Stevens is before the court today for a violation of probation hearing. There was an alleged violation of the contact order dated April 25th, 2025. Probation did provide the court with this report for that incident.
I think we can approach before we begin.
Yes.
Should the court?
Yes, well, I have the report. And I guess, Ms. Morley, if you could come forward to the podium, please. Can you state your name, please?
Cashmere Morley.
All right. Can I have her sworn, please?
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name.
Cashmere Morley.
All right, Ms. Morley, the report that I have in front of me indicates that Mr. Stevens appeared at your place of work and waited in line to speak with you.
Those are two separate events, but that's correct.
What do you mean they're two separate events?
There was a workplace event where he showed up at my place of work, and then when he was waiting in line to come to me, it was to a networking event that I was putting together, that I was hosting.
Okay. So, well, now, I mean, I'm looking here and it just says Stevens appeared at Morley's place of work, waited in line to speak with you. When you refused to have contact with him, he waited around the venue for 10 more minutes before leaving. So now you're telling me, that sounds to me like what they're describing to me is one event, but you're saying there are two. When was, okay, which one occurred first?
The workplace event. That was in March.
And where do you, the workplace event, where he came to your place of work?
Where do I work?
Well, in March, you're saying he came to your place of work. Where do you work?
I put some hours in at the Ann Arbor Art Center.
Pardon?
The Ann Arbor Art Center.
Okay. So, and that was on March.
Probably would have been mid-March sometime.
And that's kind of where you would work every day?
Not every day, but I'm part-time there, so I'm there frequently.
Okay. In your mind, did he have a purpose for coming there? If he was there?
It was my understanding that there was, excuse me, I have allergies going on today. There was an exhibition I think that he was supposed to help out with. That's as far as I know. But the times that he showed up, there was nothing work pertaining going on, according to the people that I spoke with.
So he shows up there and then what does he do vis-a-vis you?
One of the people that I work with said that they saw him just wandering around the building, not really with a purpose, and nobody knew who he was or why he was there.
Okay, did he see you?
No, I didn't see him. And I don't think
he did not see him.
Mm-mm. But I knew he was in the building because of email correspondences that were going on.
What email correspondence?
In the workplace, I'm on like an all staff email chain. And so I was told that he was going to come into the building for an exhibition.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong. So you're told via this email that he's coming into the building. And at least according to that work email, he was entering that place for some legitimate purpose.
The email said that he had showed up. Nobody knew who he was, but apparently he was putting on an exhibition. So they were talking about him coming randomly out of nowhere and saying that he was there for an exhibition. So they were discussing that. And then the email said that there was an exhibition to take place in March that apparently he was supposed to be a part of, but nobody knew who he was or why he was there. That was the email.
Okay. I guess so. If nobody knew who he was, did they know his name?
Well, I'm sure he's probably told them his name because they said his name in the email, but in the correspondence, they said they didn't know who he was at the time that he appeared.
Do you have copies of those emails?
Not with me, no.
Do you have access to copies of them?
I could probably get some, yeah.
And then the other event took place, what was that, May 5th?
That was April 25th.
April 25th was the second thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and where did that allegedly happen?
I was hosting a networking event at Venue by 4M in Ann Arbor, and he appeared and he stood in line, and I was checking people in, and he stood in line so that I could check him into an event that I was hosting, and stood longer in line than he did at the actual event.
So you're hosting an event?
Mm-hmm. Me and the crew of other people, but I was on the hosting committee.
So he comes there, according to you.
Mm-hmm.
Would he, in going to the event, would there have been another way, assuming he's there, that he would have been able to access the event without checking in with you?
That was the only way, was to go through me. And I was an organizer on the event. So if you were paying attention to the event at all, my name was all over that. There was no way you couldn't have known that I was part of it.
Okay, but I could know that you're part of an event, can go to an event, avoid you, but prior to coming to the event, would he have known that you were at the desk or wherever it needed to be checked in?
I don't know if he knows that or not, but he had at least 10 minutes waiting in line to get to me to turn around and leave the event. And he chose to come and approach me instead.
Okay, so when he approached you, what did he say?
He said good morning and tried to have me check him in. We have a no contact order, so I didn't speak to him. And the person next to me who was helping check people in then took over because she didn't know the situation and checked him into the event. And he stayed less than 10 minutes and left at a networking event.
Okay, so he comes to the event. So it's not a circumstance where you're the only one checking people in.
Correct.
There's somebody else there.
Sitting right next to me. Yep.
Okay. So he comes up, he says good morning. Is that the only thing he said to you?
He tried to have conversation at the desk and I didn't have anything.
Have conversation?
He checked himself in and then started talking about a hat that he was wearing and started trying to have conversation with me. And then when I didn't say anything, the woman next to me ushered him into the event, and he wasn't signed up for this event either.
Well, did you have to be?
You were supposed to be, yes.
Okay, but did you have to be?
We were letting people in anyway, but that was not the intent. As it was the first event that we were throwing.
So those are the two events?
Mm-hmm.
Place.
I'm here because of the April 25th event.
Okay. Are you claiming that there are any other events of contact? Okay. So in mid-March, after let me just so that I'm correct, mid-March, he never comes in eye shot of you, right?
That's correct.
All right. And so you don't see him.
Mm-hmm.
The April event, it's basically a public event,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's entering, and you're saying he said good morning. You didn't check him in. And then you're saying he tried to engage you in conversation, but that didn't happen.
No, with me, I mean, he spoke, but I didn't speak. And then the person next to me who was helping me check people in took him into the event.
Okay. After that event, or right at that point, did you contact the police at that point?
No, because I was there checking people in, and it was also our first event, and I didn't really feel comfortable having the police come to this event right when we were starting to host things, so I didn't know what to do.
Okay, so when did you contact the police about this?
I believe it was the following week. It might have been the week after. I can't remember the exact date. But I was speaking to the probation officer, and she told me to file a police report, which is what I did.
Okay, but here's what I'm indicating or trying to figure out. This occurs April 25th, which would have been a Friday, right? Approximately what time?
The event ran from 8:30 to 9:45, so I think probably around 8:45, 9 o'clock is when he showed up.
All right. And the event ran how long that day?
Until 9:30.
Till 9:30 p.m.
a.m.
a.m. So from 8:30 to 9:30 was the event. It's basically an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It might have been 9:45, 9:30, 9:45-ish is when it.
Okay, that's fine. So it didn't go all day.
Correct.
And then so when did you then contact the police about this?
It was either the following week or the week after. I can't remember the exact date.
Would May 7th?
I'm not sure of the exact date, sir.
Have you read the police report on this?
No, I have not.
Jordan, would you like me to give her my copy?
Yeah, if you could, I'd just like her to read the victim statement.
I think that would scare me more than anything is to be in Judge Simpson's court and have him start to think, when he's starting to putting things together, it's not going to go your way.
So how big was this event?
There was probably 100 people there.
Okay, so he went into the event, he didn't stay long and then left.
He waited longer in line to check in than he did at the event. Than he was at the event.
Okay, it's the second time you said that. So what am I supposed to take from that?
That he waited in line longer to get to me than he actually stayed at the event. If he was there for work, for networking, I don't know why you would say there to network.
So her whole complaint is that he was in her line longer than he was there at the event. I don't know if any of y'all have ever been to an art exhibit or any sort of event like that, but he may have just went in to be checking to make sure the location. He may have been checking on the size, may have been checking on the just the crowd in there. And so there's plenty of reasons why he would not be there long. Maybe if she's the organizer, maybe she should try to understand why her damn line is so long. I hate it. In this situation, who's the victim? Dana, I think you could say the judge is the victim in this situation. I think that's the fairest victim in this one.
How many of these events have you done, say, this year?
This is the first one we had this past April.
Okay. How often are you at your part-time job?
20 hours a week.
Okay. So other than this March date, I'm just talking this year at this point. Has he come into your work?
Not that I know of. I have not seen him.
Okay. And then after July of 2024, were you also participating in events?
I was not hosting them, but I was going to networking events. Yes.
So you did, so this is the first event you hosted.
Correct.
Whole encounter between you and him on April 25th, is phrase it. How long was that encounter?
Him speaking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Probably like 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay, anything else you want to tell me?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, and I guess not that I've made a finding, what do you want the court to do?
Something so this doesn't keep happening. I'm sick of being contacted by him.
Okay, so, ma'am, you've only told me of one incident.
This is at least the third time I've called the Ann Arbor precinct about no contact violations.
But
Your Honor, I believe that she's referencing the two others that was well on that.
that were from, that I've already addressed because these were sentenced after.
Correct. That's what I believe, and I'm, okay.
You're correct.
It was a December 8th and January 5th.
All throughout the time.
December 8th of 2020.
All right. Jennifer, do you hear that Judge Fleischer's no longer streaming? No, he is not streaming. He was streaming to the IBM, I guess the Zoom link that the court provides, and we were hijacking and bootlegging that stream and putting it out on YouTube. We were proud to do so, and we would do so again if Judge Fleischer ever streams again. In the end, people's got to be responsible. You can't keep poking at it. People can't keep putting out the videos that they're putting out where they're just trying to exploit the court. If we're going to watch court, we need to be educated, and we can be entertained too at the same time. But when people go out there and say dumb things and do dumb things, it has dumb results. And so, for right now, no, Judge Fleischer is not streaming. No news on when he is. No, we're lost in the dark right now. We're gonna have to put up with all these other great judges. So we'll get there.
3 and a January 5th of 2024.
The time period between December and then July, there were emails, there were letter he left in my mailbox. There was dozen times.
Right, I recall all that, ma'am. But the reason I'm using the July date is because that's when he was sentenced, right? And you're saying that so between July and this July of 2024 and the April date, has he been in contact with you?
He drives by my house all the time and says he's going to his rental unit.
One thing I remember about this case is I think he has a rental property in the same neighborhood that you're in.
I would like to know the address of that, but yes.
What?
I'd like to know the address to it, but yes, that's what he's claimed.
Well, I don't think that was ever disputed at the time of sentencing, that he has a rental property up that way. And that he would go to we had a whole discussion about it.
Does he need to park in front of my house to get to his rental unit?
It's like right there. I mean,
if it's on the same street, it doesn't mean he needs to park in front of my house to get there.
So how many times are you saying that happened?
Countless times.
When that happens, does he engage you in any way? Does he heads off someplace else?
No, he sits in his car. He doesn't head anywhere else.
So when that happens, did you call the police?
Yes.
When?
I called the police as early as this week when that happened, like Monday.
Hold on.
And they told me there's nothing that they could do about it because it's a public street.
So what day did you call the police about this?
About the April event?
No, about April event, you didn't contact him till May 5th. But about him being out in front of your house.
Monday.
This past Monday?
Mhm.
And what did they do? They did nothing?
He told me there's nothing that he could do because he had left by the time that they got there. And then he said it was a public street. So even though I had photos, it didn't matter. That's what he told me.
Did you show the officer the photos?
No, he didn't want to see them. He said it didn't matter.
What time did you call there on Monday?
6 o'clock.
6 p.m.? So other than that, when you call the police, have you contacted, you're saying you're using phraseology like all the time and those kinds of things. And I'm trying to figure out where you're saying he's in front of your house. Other than this past Monday, right? Have you called the police about him being there?
Yes.
On how many occasions?
Probably between 5 and 10 at this point. I don't know how many like actual case numbers I have or whatever that's called,
Do you have
but
the case numbers?
not on me, no.
Do you have the request for service numbers?
Not on me, no. But I have the card from Monday, not with me, but I do have that number.
You have a rental property in the neighborhood, right? Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And it's, as I'm recalling, it's adjacent in a sense to where she resides. It's like right in that same area.
You like me to answer?
Yeah.
Yes, from the end of the driveway, her apartment would be visible. When she says
I recall that. I was trying to make sure I was recalling that part of it correctly. All right. Okay, and so ma'am, I was at the point, what do you want me to do?
Something. I'm tired of him contacting me. He could have gone to any other networking event. He didn't have to go to one that I was putting on. And if he was actually there for work, then he should have been networking instead of just leaving 5 minutes after checking in. But he stood in line to see me and contact me, and there's a witness to that.
Why he stood in line, do you?
Why did he leave 5 minutes after then if he was there for work? And I have a witness to the whole thing.
Pardon?
I have a witness to the whole thing.
Who's your witness?
The person that was sitting next to me.
And who is that?
What's her name?
Yes.
Her name is Aylin Walters.
She available?
Not today.
How do you know?
Because I asked her.
When would she be available?
I don't know.
Do you have contact information for this Miss Walters that you could share with Miss Polera?
I do.
All right. Okay, anything else you want to tell me? All right, thank you. All right, sir. And I know you're represented by, no, you're okay. Come on.
You need your glasses, Mr. Stevens.
I think I know what's on. Yeah.
Let's have him sworn.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name.
Jason Stevens.
Stevens? And if at any point you're uncomfortable answering any of the questions the court has, then you've got counsel here. Do you recall being in the, I guess, Ann Arbor Art Center in March?
Yes.
Why? Why were you there?
I have brought with me the contract signed for my company to install an exhibition there in March.
Can I see that? I mean,
it also includes a timeline on the front page and correspondence with Ms. Morley's employer about the exhibition.
Hold on. So you were supposed to be there regarding an event. There's a contract regarding the event.
That is correct.
That's why you were there in March.
Yes.
All right. And then, well, let me ask you in March, did you see her at all?
I was not aware she worked there until her employer called and told me.
When did that happen?
The week before installation was supposed to happen.
She said she worked there. You were told that she worked there?
Yes.
Were you told? Well, how'd that conversation go? Why? Well, let me ask you this. Why did their employer then tell you that?
Apparently, Ms. Morley told her employer, the director of the Ann Arbor Art Center, that she had a restraining order against me and that I wasn't allowed into her place of work. Her employer, knowing that I was there to install an exhibition, called me in a bit of a panic, and we talked about it on the Friday before installation.
Okay, what between the employer and yourself, when you say you talked about it, what was worked out regarding that?
The fact that, well, the employer asked that I not come into the building.
Okay.
Of course, that created a difficult situation because I had a responsibility in the building and an exhibition that was opening a week later. So we had to work out how that work would actually get done without me being able to be in the building. My coworkers did not want to go after they learned about this, so we had to find a surrogate to do that work. We ended up working through other people. I worked remotely. I did not go into the building, despite this being a physical job, but it all came off okay. So,
well, hold on a second. Were you in the building in March then?
Before that phone call, I was going in and meeting with people to talk about the logistics.
That's what I'm trying to clear up.
Yeah.
The mid-March point, you heard the testimony was Morley. Had you been told at that point that she worked there?
No.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure. I wanted to make sure I had my timing right. So then you're told that, well, her employer or the director of the building calls you, tells you that. And even though you had contracted to do this installation, right? Did you enter the building after that?
Nope. Have not been back since.
Got it. Okay. And then what happened? Do you recall April 25th event?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. What do you want to tell me about that? Did you go, I think it was on South Industrial or something?
place called Venue.
Yeah.
Used to be a grocery store, I think. I was on a podcast with a fellow. I met the fellow and learned that he was speaking at this event, a new professional networking event that was being hosted at Venue. I decided I would go check it out. Saw another colleague earlier in the week. She said she was going. I said, cool, I'll meet you there. Went to that event at 8:30. I was actually there right at 8:30. When I walked in, I saw that Kashmir Morley was checking people in, but she was one of two people. I stepped aside, waited for the other woman's line to empty. I went up to her. I checked in. She complimented my hat.
Who did?
The woman that I checked in with. Apparently her name is Alin Walters.
Okay.
She complimented my hat. I said, thank you. I made it myself. And then I went into another room where the actual event was taking place, grabbed a glass of water, went into that room, saw the friend that I had agreed to meet there, saw another couple of people. And I did leave before the event started, before Hein actually began talking. I left through a side door because I didn't want to be in the same room as Ms. Morley. And that was it.
So you didn't, I guess it would have been the front is where you came in.
Yeah, right by the front.
You didn't leave out the front.
Nope.
So what you're telling me is the reason you left is because she was there and that at some point, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, at some point, given that she was part of that event, she was going to be in that same room as you. And you were trying to avoid that.
Yes, I would say generally her presence was making me uncomfortable.
Okay.
I should add, I don't see her name on anything related to the event. She said she was hosting it, but that's not clear.
Do you have that with you?
So that I can explain. I added a page that's the podcast we were on. The next page is the LinkedIn post where I learned about the event. Her name is nowhere in that post. There's another internet article about the event. Her name is nowhere in that article. So.
But the reality is you're not learning about this event from the internet or anything like that. You learn about it from somebody that you did a podcast with.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was basically verbally learn about it.
Yeah. And then I saw it on LinkedIn.
Got it. Okay. And when you saw it on LinkedIn, her name is not here. Is that what you're telling me?
That's correct.
So prior to your arrival, you didn't know she would be there.
No idea.
Anything else you want to tell me about this?
Not really.
On this one. Thank you.
Or anything else? I have no other violations or anything.
Your Honor, Ms. Morley indicates that the LinkedIn posts indicate her name on the notice. On LinkedIn?
Yeah, and on the events page, my name is listed as an organizer.
Okay, I got a question. Why do you, Why do you think he was trying to get to you?
Because he's been trying to do this the whole time he's been doing this. That was why he left a letter, that's why he emailed me, he's trying to contact me, that's why, it shows he can.
Hold on, I just asked you, what other contact has occurred with the threaded here between June or July? Just make sure I get my notes right. Between July 8th of 2024 to present, any direct contact that he's had?
I don't understand how many times I have to be contacted in order for it to matter.
That's, you need to answer get up to the podium. You need to answer my question. You keep saying it keeps happening. You keep using these large phrases, but never giving me any specifics. So what I'm trying to figure out is how many other times from the time that he was sentenced, that's the date I'm using, up to say March or even April, how many times has he contacted you?
This has been the first direct time he's contacted me since July.
Okay, so then my question is, from that date you didn't see him, but heard about him in the building at work in March, did he appear in the building after that at your work?
After what date?
You said it was sometime in mid-March that you heard he was in the building. Did that occur again?
I don't know, not that I saw.
So I'm to understand that between the time I sentenced him and this day, or the April 25th day, there's been no contact.
Okay. Yes.
And on that day, at least as I see it, we can at least agree that he entered. You're saying it was because of your actions. He's saying it's because of his actions. But regardless of that, you were not the person that checked him in. Somebody else, as Miss Walters, checked him in.
He tried to get me to check him in, and when I didn't contact him, because he walked up to me and said good morning to me and looked at me and said good morning and tried to have me check him into an event that I was hosting. That's how I know. He didn't look at Miss Walters, he looked at me.
And the other thing that we can, well, you're not agreeing to that, but the other thing that we can agree, he did go off and the event was taking place in another room. And then, at least as I listened to both of you, he left shortly thereafter.
That's correct.
He didn't, would you agree, didn't come back out the front where you were? He somehow or another left the event.
Yes.
And your thought is, well, what is your thought about why he left the event?
I don't know why he left if he was there for work. There to network. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, so your belief is that he came to the event to see you.
Yes.
Saw you, went into the event that, by your understanding of this, he really had no intention really to be at, because his sole intention was to see you.
I think his intention was to show up and show me that he can be around me no matter what, because nothing is getting done about this. That's what I think his intention was.
Where do you get that from?
The fact that he stood in line longer to see me, to get me to check him in, than he was at the event. That's what makes me feel that way.
All right, thank you. Ms. Anderson, anything you want to say on behalf of your client at this point?
Your Honor, I haven't heard anything that gives rise to any direct or indirect contact. She's referenced the events, two separate events, the March 2025 event. Doesn't appear that she even knew that he was in the building. I don't see anything that gives rise to any contact. She didn't see him. He didn't speak directly with him. And my client has presented information that he was there for work purposes. Once he found out that she was there, he found ways to work remotely, which would indicate to me at least that he was trying to comply with the court's orders with regards to that. The April event, again, he's there for networking. I mean, it's almost in that situation a lose-lose for Mr. Stevens. She's complaining that he stayed only 10 minutes, and if he had stayed the full event, that also would have been a problem. Your Honor, I don't see anything that gives rise to any violation of probation, and I would ask the court to dismiss this.
I'm gonna step out for a moment. Miss Valera, can you call AAPD and ask them
Yes, I will.
about requests for service from Monday and those before?
Yes.
And what, yeah,
I will.
can you, if they can get us a list and guys give me about 15 minutes and let her do that. And you got the contact information from Mr. Walters, Mr. Flair?
I will get it for her.
Okay, and can you see if you can reach out to her too? I know I'm giving you a lot.
That's okay.
All right, and then we'll reconvene. I'll come back on it. Thank you. Court's in standing recess.
All right.
Ms. Anderson, we're close. And I need, oh, is she talking to Teresa? Yeah, that may, okay.
So in reality, this guy was probably an ass too. I can't really remember the original hearing, but I think he was trouble. I think like Linus was saying, I think they kind of deserve each other. They're both kind of goofy. No one, no woman deserves to be stalked, but I don't know. She's kind of a pain. But I learned a long time ago on these videos to never question a woman's feelings. I think that was the lesson I learned.
Okay. Watch yourself with that microphone as you're talking. No, you're okay, but you got a hot mic in front. You want to see?
We'll do it.
We're back on the record in the case of the People versus Jason Stevens. He's present with counsel, and so is Morley present. The court took a brief recess, and I asked for Miss Valera to check a couple things for me, Miss.
Yeah, sure, and I do have that information for the court. As far as reaching the witness, Ms. Walters, I did leave a message, there was no answer, so I wasn't able to get through with her. As for the calls for service to Ann Arbor PD, they had 3 that they were able to provide. One was on May 5th, which is the probation violation report from today's hearing. There was one from May 12th, this past Monday. They indicated there was no report, just notes for that call of service. There was notes say, saw the defendant drive by one time, no violation because he owns property down the street. They had nothing other than that since July of 2024 with a call for service. no report. Notes were possible harassment, no action taken. Probation also wants.
Just, and so we can clarify, the July date would have been right around when he was sentenced.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And probation also wants to make the court aware, Mr. Stevens did report to probation the incident that happened in early March, where he was in the building doing work. He reported that to my office, indicating the same that he testified today, just so the court is aware.
That he was in the building, then informed later that she worked there.
Correct. And so he wanted that known and reported. So Mr. Stevens did report that to my office.
Okay. Court's ready to rule. And I'm just gonna maybe be painfully blunt regarding this. I, because of my docket, have numerous people reporting incidents of contact, incidents of harassment, incidents of those kinds of things, and have to try to deal with them and sort them out. Sometimes it turns on the little things as to what transpired because I'm not there. But other times it's real clear that somebody has had contact. Other times it also is clear in the opposite direction that there was no intended contact. Some contact may have been incidental or very short-lived. As I listen to the parties in this case, I'll just say this. Ma'am, I don't know why you have this belief that Mr. Stevens is spending his life trying to be near you. I don't think that's the case at all. Certainly not by any of what I've been shown today. And quite frankly, you've lied to this court. Yes, ma'am, you have. I don't want you shaking your head because you're playing with the wrong judge. You are playing with the wrong judge. I am dealing with people's liberty, with their freedom. And it is with sometimes a heavy heart that I have to restrict people's freedom or I have to take somebody's freedom and their liberty. And I don't want to do it where I don't have to. I particularly don't want to do it where somebody comes before the court complaining of something that is just so unbelievable and at times twisted as to what's going on. Mr. Stevens, quite frankly, if he were not one to want to tell me the truth about what happened, the very fact, and I'll just deal with the March date, the very fact you never see him, but somebody says he's there, he could have gotten up before me, he could have said, I was never in that building. And just say that. There's not going to be anybody that's going to show that he's in that building necessarily. He'll just say, I wasn't there. He doesn't do that. And in fact, gets before this court, explains the entire circumstance of when he's in the building, then does the right thing once he's informed that you work there. He does two things right. One is he doesn't go back to the building and has to logistically try to figure out a way to fulfill his obligations under his contract. But he does that because of this court's order. He purposely doesn't violate that. He doesn't try to use the contract as some excuse to then go back into the building saying, well, I had to go there and I was just going to work. He doesn't do any of that. He just stays away. That's the first thing that he did that was right. The second thing that he did that was correct in that regard is that he
when it came time for him to report to probation, understanding he had had no police contact regarding that event, nothing really comes out of it, but he reports it to his probation officer that this transpired and that this is what I had to do. I've read that report that he submitted. It is almost verbatim what he told me today. Not knowing that today was gonna even manifest itself in this, he already reported that that's what happened. And that this is what then actions he took to make sure he wasn't there. So your indication, and it's just misguided that it is that he came there looking for you, is just wrong. It just simply is wrong. He was not looking for you. He was just trying to do his job or do his work, found out he couldn't because you were there, and then stayed away and had to figure out some other way to do it. Then we get to the April 25th date. The April 25th date, I guess the only thing I can say regarding Mr. Stevens' behavior is I wish he had done something different. And that is that upon getting to the door, seeing you, I wish he had turned around and walked back out. I don't know, quite frankly, that would have prevented us from being here, but certainly I would have wished that he did. But I understand what he did do. And what he did, this is, again, identical to what he indicated to probation, but he also said it to this court today under oath. He goes in, you don't check him in. I believe him when he says, I stepped to the side to wait for the other one, because I think you have some fixation on him or his, or what he's thinking. And you can keep shaking your head all you want, because I can go all day. Because I think there's something wrong in this whole thing. I believe him that he stepped to the side, checked in. You then take some and make some nefarious argument about him coming there to see you. Why? Because he didn't stay for the whole event. Well, he didn't stay for the whole event as he reported to probation. And the other thing is that he went in, gave his greetings and goodbyes basically to the people that he was supposed to meet there, and then left. And then made the conscious decision, because you were there, not to go back out the way I came in. He just left out a side door and said, I'm out. As I said, the only thing I wish he had done, but again, I don't know that would have prevented us from being here, is to just at the front door have turned around and left. But I get why he didn't, because he had told people that he was going to be there. He was just going to go in, do this, get out. He wasn't going to stay there. I believe him when he says, I was going to be uncomfortable if she was in that same event. And he got himself out. That is consistent, quite frankly, in a lot of ways, with what he did in March. There's absolutely no, this court sees it, no violation that this court could take any action. But then when I look at it, you kept saying, and I was cautioning you on this one, ma'am, or you were addressing the court, that you keep saying these sort of grand statements about him, that it's always, I want this to stop. I want whatever. And I'm saying, well, what other events have there been? And I specifically recall us dealing with his rental property. and the fact of its location vis-a-vis where you live. I remember looking at a map, because somebody telling me where it can be seen and where he goes up, and you knew he had rental property there, and then have the nerve to say to me today, well, I want the address because I'm not. We went through that whole thing in July in excruciating detail. You know he has it there. And how do I also know that you know he has it there? The Monday call to the police, which, by the way, is really suspicious because I don't have any calls for service except at the time of his sentencing, just this general harassment thing, which they didn't take any action on. And then Monday. Here's the interesting thing about Monday. That call comes into the Ann Arbor Police Department at 6 p.m. on the same date that my staff set this hearing. We set the hearing at approximately a little after 12 that day, but via email to Ms. Polera. By 6 o'clock, I then all of a sudden have some complaint against this gentleman with the Ann Arbor Police, as though you had to sort of bolster some issue against him. Then you exaggerated, if not perjured yourself under oath before this court when I'm asking, how many calls have you made? Well, here's the thing you may not realize. Any police department you call will have detailed notes of what they did in their response to service, which is when you said how many times you had called, I asked Ms. Polera to check that out. There's only 3. Since the time of sentencing, there's only 2. One being your report of this April 25th date, which didn't happen until the 5th. And then a week later, another call to the Ann Arbor Police Department, frankly, in response to this court setting a hearing and trying to drive and make a case against this gentleman. You lied to me. Just out and out lied. You haven't been calling the police. You haven't been doing any of that. And quite frankly, because there are serious cases of victims that come before this court that are harassed by people, they may not get the facts right. They may not understand certain things, but they will tell the court from their perspective what happened. But one thing I've never found, while I may not quite, they might have the facts a little off, I've never found just a blatant lie like this, ever. Saying that somebody has harassing you to such a point that, yes, I've had to call the police this many times. You haven't called the police. He wasn't there at that April 25th incident to see you. He was there to go to that event. Your weird belief that somehow or another his reason for going there was because he saw your name and decided to just gallivant down there, let me see if she's there. Seriously? I am not finding a violation. And young lady, I'm going to tell you, and I just have to think about it, but I may end up sanctioning you for lying to this court. If you got something real to bring this about somebody, I don't mind you coming here. But we've been sitting here for the last almost an hour and 45 minutes trying to deal with this.
all of this being mistruths and just lies about him. So while you may try to turn him into something evil, you may think he's the proverbial devil in terms of who he is. This court does not view him this way. He has been a model probationer. He has done everything. He's gone way beyond what most probationers do in reporting things that weren't crimes, but certainly something that he thought probation should know of. And the great thing about him doing that, certainly it saved him today, just by putting it out there. So the court's going to find no violation. I'm done with this. And if there's something else that comes up, then we'll deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
All right. So one thing I noticed was at the end, normally he would have one side leave and then wait and make the other side leave. You can tell he's so frustrated he doesn't even care. Just be done and get out of there. He did the right thing. Being able to look up and see that she had not been calling the police as much as she said. David, you are absolutely right. We will see her again. She will continue this. I wonder if he would be able to get a protective order against her. I wonder if that would be something. But I don't know. I don't know. That's a mess. I often see when people are in crazy relationships like that they deserve it. But I've got to go back and watch Meg's video. I put it in the link in the description. Go watch the video. Tell Meg we love her and miss her. I think we're going to get out of here tonight. Yep. Oh, yeah, it's been way too dang long. You guys have a good night tonight, and tomorrow we're going to do some court. Not sure which court. Always leave comments and say what court you want to see. We're just waiting until Judge Fleischer comes back. So let's find the ending credits and get out of here. I haven't been able to update the ending credits this week. Linus has been sending me new names to add to it. I promise to get to it by the end of the week. So we are out of here. You have a good night.
Please.